Hello, we are Team 44 and our project has succeeded in bringing customizations of motion input interactions to the end user through our front-end GUI. Motion input has many modes of use and has a great degree of customization in the backend. However, most of these customizations are hard-coded in the backend and not available for end users at care homes and educational settings to change. This leads us to our first focus, which is to completely rebuild the front end to decrease the time for changed settings to take effect. To achieve this, we aim to build an efficient method for inter-process communication and a messaging protocol. This opens up the front end to change any backend customization property by sending a message after a user sets a value through a UI element like a slider. Our second focus is to guide the other motion input teams to surface their features with customizable settings controls in the front end. We provide plenty of documentation to guide other teams with likely no experience in C#, as well as a template for them to work off of to ensure consistent code practices and UI design. We are actively involved in reviewing front-end screens made by other teams to make sure that they are up to the right standard. The third focus for us was to provide easy customizations for motion input users, while offering default settings that are least likely to require tinkering, as well as communicating clearly to the user what each setting does through a walkthrough screen. To achieve this, our user interface designs go through multiple rounds of feedback, and we make sure that we keep components consistent across the whole application. The most important requirement for the front end is that it must be a .exe for hospital settings, with no opening sockets for security, and no requirements to be run with admin permissions. We should also have a documentation site as well as tutorial videos to ensure other teams know how to develop in this environment. Furthermore, we will also be looking into ways to publish motion input to the Microsoft Store as a UWP application. This is our architecture diagram, which shows how the front end communicates with the back end through a bidirectional pipe in order to update settings. The front end also stores a local settings.json file in order for the UI to display the correct settings. Here are some examples of previous motion input GUI designs, which we decided were a bit dated both in visuals and in navigation experience, which is why we set out to create a more modern UI, which you can see here. Through the constant feedback process, we've come far in making motion input more user-friendly through a more understandable and easier to navigate user interface. We are delivering a .exe which communicates between the C# front end and Python backend, which you can see in action here, as well as the backend config file being updated in real time. We will also be providing documentation and video tutorials such that the other current and future teams can continue expanding on motion input. Thank you for watching our presentation.